Welcome to Glow Up with Nisi, where the glow up is more than skin deep. This season, we're owning our evolution from healing and habits to hustle and soft life. I'm your host, Nisi, and here we talk glowing different, leveling up with intention, faith, and just the right touch of luxury. So fix your crown, pour up something pretty, and let's step boldly into becoming her one episode at a time. The glow up affirmation is I attract love that aligns with who I am becoming. This entire episode, I absolutely am super excited, and I feel like I say that about all my episodes. But this one, we are really getting down to the nitty gritty of glowing up and being in love and the entire concept of self love. I've said this story many times, but growing up as a little girl, I literally had to learn how to really love myself and cherish myself and value myself. This is a topic that I feel like when we were talking about glowing up and being in love, as opposed to loving yourself, being in a relationship or having a love with God or whoever you believe in, this is huge. What's one relationship that helped view the way I love today? I would definitely say my relationship with myself and with God. Self-love is one of the greatest love ever, apart from having a love relationship with God. I had to really grow to love myself. I had to really grow to value myself, like myself, and treat myself good. I learned to do that by realizing the people that I was hanging out with, those weren't people that I wanted to be associated with. The people that helped me engage in negative stuff, those weren't the people that I want to associate myself with. A lot of us do not know, but self-love is learning what you can't take and what you would not accept. So let me get that. Self-love is learning what you can't take. So there's certain things that you can take, like constructive criticism that's helping you to grow to be the best version of yourself. You have to learn how to take that. But there are some things that you will not accept. Disrespect, people not respecting your boundaries, people abusing you, disrespecting you, all of the above. That's something that you're not willing to accept, you're not willing to take at all. But I had to really learn the importance of self-love because who was going to love me like me? I know I made this joke many times on TikTok, Instagram, etc. that when it comes to me posting my podcast, I'm the first one that listens to it because I'm hyping myself. When it comes to my book, I'm the first one that's purchasing it and I'm giving myself a review, and showing greatness of it. When it comes to me posting on YouTube, I'm watching my videos, liking it, and saying I did a good job or maybe I can improve in this way. When it comes to me posting on TikTok, Instagram, anything, I'm the first one that's liking my own post, and sometimes I repost it. Because who was going to love me like me? Who was going to hype me up like me? Self-love has helped me to make sure that I have boundaries. I would not accept disrespect. I watch who is around my corner, who has my back. I make sure that whoever I am in a relationship with, I genuinely like them. And I genuinely see that they value me as a person and as a human being. And I'm very careful and I protect my space and I protect my energy. That's what self-love is to me. That's what helped me to view love today. Because now when I look into a relationship, I know who I want as an individual. I know that the person that who I'm engaging with, they have to respect me. They have to love me. Hell, they probably gotta love me more than I love me. And that's impossible because I love me. But I have to have somebody that genuinely sees me as a person, that supports me, that loves me, that even loves me through my downs, and as they love me during my ups. That's why God's love has always also shaped me, because God always wants best for me. God created me for a reason. God created my mindset for a reason. God created my eagerness, my determination, my motivation to elevate myself. God's love created that for me. So when I'm seeing myself in a relationship with somebody, They have to genuinely love me like how I love myself. That is a reflection of not only me, but that's a reflection of my partner. Before we dive into the entire podcast, I just have to take a pause to talk to you guys about Phi 2. Since we're talking about stepping into our best selves, let me put you on Phi 2 glasses, which is FYTOO. They instantly level up your look while you're at work, brunch, or just on Zoom. Plus, you could get 15% off by using my code NICEYS, NIECEYYS. And also, if you want to get some prescription glasses without breaking the bank, definitely hit up Phi 2. I was in some poor relationships that helped shape me even more to know I need to love myself even more and value and have self-love. Some of the men like that I dated back in my past, they couldn't even step to me today. The way I love myself and care for myself. They couldn't even talk to me today. They couldn't even ask me how the day is going because they're going to get me blinking at them like, who are you talking to? Because you're not talking to me. That's why I view my self-love as the highest amount of love possible. I know they say a parent's love is, yes, that is absolutely correct. Parents' love also shape how you view love as well. That's why I say it's important to love yourself. The same way how you love your child, that's very important as well. But remember, your self-love is what's going to help you to continue on to be that better version of yourself. Because you're pushing yourself. You're telling yourself you have to reach this. You're telling yourself you have to reach that goal. That's why it's very important for me today. I watch the people around me and I watch who I want to be around me. I watch who I want to associate myself with. And having that relationship with God has been a huge factor because it's continued to help me to grow and it's continued to help me to become the best version of myself. So what does glowing up in love actually mean? This is absolutely a great discussion to talk about. When you meet somebody that brings out the joy in you, supports you, and actually loves you, that is somebody you are always going to want by your side. When you are involving in so many ways, you want to make sure that the person that you are with is applauding you, supporting you, and being there for you to uplift you. It's important to find your person that makes you feel good and that makes you shine. That's what glowing up in love is to me. Glowing up in love is realizing the previous partners that you had, they did not work out for a reason, and that's the best thing that could ever happen to you. You are able to move on from that relationship and you are able to upgrade. You know how many people upgraded their relationship from their past partners? You know how many people worked on their self-love to the point that the next partner is their best partner that they have that end goal with? They end up married, have kids, longevity, healthy communication, trust. They value each other. They have disagreements, but they're respectful of each other. That's what love is. And that's what glowing up in love is. We always think about it, but when I explain to you about having that mindset when it comes to glowing up, I'm always talking about your parents. I'm always talking about your boundaries, your personality, your spiritual being, your mental, emotional, everything of the above. But when you actually glow up in love, that's a huge reflection on you because you see how far you have come. You see how you have found ways to elevate in relationships. You found ways to evolve in relationships. You don't make the same mistakes twice. You learn from your past relationships. And don't get me wrong, when you are younger, we tend to do stupid things. We tend to date some people. And you're just like, what was I thinking as you get older? But that's why you experience that when you are young. You should not be older experiencing that. That's traumatic. It's the same way how I was watching a TikTok video of this young lady talk about how at the age of 30, she lost her virginity and she thought all the years of her life she was doing it the proper way. The first guy that ever showed her the amounts of attention, she absolutely lost her virginity and he left her as a single mother. Now, that is not glowing up in love. And I'm not discrediting her experience because I don't know the full story. But sometimes we have to look out for red flags. We have to see, okay, And that's another thing when it comes to self-love and glowing up in love. You have to look out for red flags. And I feel like many of us ignore those red flags. And that's why many of us end up in relationships that are terrible. We ignore when somebody's being possessive. We ignore when somebody's being narcissistic. We ignore when somebody is not supportive. We ignore those little things because sometimes we're so hooked on, I want a relationship. I want a partner. I want to be married. I want to be a mother. I want to be a father. I want to be this. I want to be that. And we don't actually sit down and we don't actually think, how are you supposed to glow up in love if you are not understanding the first thing about love, which is self-love? You need to think about how you treat yourself and how you want to be treated. So when you get in that relationship, you are glowing up in love because you're finding somebody that's supportive. Is much bigger than a program. Like, it literally is, because it affects you in all aspects of your life. It affects you financially. It affects you mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. It affects you in so many ways that you wouldn't even think that's possible. When you are in a relationship and you are glowing up, you have to make sure your partner is also glowing up in love. You have to make sure your partner is always thinking about it from, how am I going to find ways for us to elevate? How am I going to find ways for us to be supportive? How am I going to see things from her or his personality or point of view? How am I going to see things that I've never saw before? That's what glowing up in love is. You know, one thing I value about my relationship that I have with my boyfriend is he teaches me some things that I'm mind blown about. I teach him things that he's mind blown about because it's about teaching each other. We're glowing up. We're elevating that way. He has more of a finance mindset and I have more of a data mindset. So together we just blend. We teach each other different ways to glow up. We teach each other how to handle ourselves better. Literally, we could get into an argument or a discussion and we could sit down and we could talk about it from each other's point of view and basically say what I didn't like and what you did, how I felt, etc. And we can move on from that. That's what you have to do when it comes to glowing up. Is communication, is trust, is honesty, and it's actually listening to another person and actually understanding. Because now when it comes to self-love, you have to know how to trust yourself. You have to learn how to love yourself. You have to actually communicate with yourself. I know people may think you're crazy for talking to yourself, but I think it's actually pretty healthy to talk to yourself because you're saying to yourself, yo, like, what I did was crazy, was stupid, was wrong, but you know what? This is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to approach it. That's how you have to think about it. And glowing up in love is like the most beautiful thing ever. As much as people talk about Beyonce and Jay-Z, the reason why I love their relationship, because apart from the cheating and the disrespect, they glow up in love. That song, Upgrade You, songs, I said one of because I know how you guys like to tussle, is one of the best songs. Because she's talking about how she could come into his life and how she could upgrade him. Even though he's probably still doing well, I'm going to show you how to be better. Okay, listen to what Beyonce said. I hear you be the block, but I'm the lights that keep the streets on. Notice you the type that like to keep them on a leash though. I'm known to walk alone, but I'm alone for a reason. You need a good woman in your life. That's a good look. Taking care home and still fly. I'ma help you build up your account. That's a good look. Literally, the entire thing's about upgrading, but it's on both sides. That's glowing up in love. When you see so many other celebrity relationships that are elevated. Look at Ciara. Look at Ciara and Russell Wilson. Ciara had to learn to literally, that person that she was with prior, she learned how to love again. She grew up in love. She's happily married. She's beautiful. She's glowing. Whenever you see her, she's always glowing. Her husband is always glowing and swooning over her. That's love. You have to think about it like that. When you're growing up in love, and it's not saying that we're looking at celebrities to copy them. You're looking at to see the difference, how each other complements each other. How each other's backbone. Because that's what it's supposed to be, and that's what it's all about. Look at Michelle Obama and Barack Obama. Look at their relationship. I read her book, and she talked about how she had so much stuff going for herself. But she decided to follow along with Barack's dream. And look, he became the first black president of the United States of America, 2 terms. They grew up in love and they continue to grow up to the point that now they're just enjoying life. She talks about how they had to shift their relationship and make changes. That's what it is about when you are in love. You want to make sure that the person that you're with, you guys are building a future together. That's what's very important. You guys are building a future together. You guys are building a legacy. And I'm like, a legacy is what I mean is you want that love, that genuine love that complements each other, that's healthy to pass down if you decide to have kids for your kids to see. That's something that you want people to see and be like, oh, wow, like they really love each other. They really value each other. They really care for each other. That's what you want. That's the shine that you see when you see a lot of people are happily in love. That's the shine you see when you see a lot of, especially women, that are happily in love with themselves. That's self-love. Because you could be growing up in love and not be in a relationship. You could actually grow up to love yourself, like genuinely, to the point that you are happy and you feel good. A lot of single women, back when I was like single and how I was growing up in my love, and people say, oh my God, you're glowing. I focus on fitness. I focus on eating right. I focus on looking good, smelling good, making sure my hair good, my nails done. I focus on everything that made me happy, things that I love to do. Now, when you get into a relationship, how do you avoid shrinking yourself to keep a relationship? Now, I try not to be that person that has to let everybody know that I'm in a relationship. I do not want to be that person. I don't want to shrink myself in any way that I'm only viewed as somebody's girlfriend or I'm only viewed as somebody that's in a relationship. Because I'm more than a girlfriend. I'm Shanice. I'm me. I have a job. I value myself. I work hard for myself. I'm just not a girlfriend. That's why people probably think I keep my relationship private. It's not keeping my relationship private. That's something that I genuinely love and I genuinely care for. That is between me and my partner. The whole wide world does not need to know. And if they see it, I'm not explaining anything. I am not explaining anything. That's why, you know why I love Meg Thee Stallion? Because she is so much in love right now with Klay Thompson. That is beautiful to see. It is beautiful to see. She has a ring on her finger and she's not answering anything. Some people really make their relationship their personality, and I don't want to be that person. I value myself that I do not want to lose myself in a relationship. That's why I always preach that we as women specifically, we should have our own hobbies. We should continue to do things that we love, and we should continue to hang out with our friends. Because one thing men, they're not going to do, they are not going to let our relationship stop them from doing what they were doing, like hanging out with their friends, playing basketball, playing video games, doing this hobby, doing that hobby. They're always going to pick themselves. Me as a person, I've learned to have my own type of hobbies. I learned to really love myself. And I do that by doing my YouTube content. I do that by my TikTok, Instagram, YouTube content, even doing my podcast, writing books. I may pick up tennis here and there. I work out. I try to find different things that really helps me to not have to always shrink myself in a relationship. So to not shrink yourself in a relationship, you have to maintain your own individuality by prioritizing personal time, hobbies, and friendships outside the relationship. Communicate openly with your partner about your feelings, needs, and goals to ensure that you are respected. Regularly check in with yourself to ensure you are pursuing your own goals and express yourself authentically. You have to have your own personal boundaries, validate your own feelings, maintain your friendships, prioritize you time, passion projects, and hobbies. Be willing to risk rejection for what's important to you and learn how to embrace healthy conflict. I know my personal boundaries and needs, and that's a conversation that me and my partner we do have on a daily basis to make sure that I'm still having my own individuality and he is as well. That's why I believe when you are in a relationship, it's very important for you to have friends, but it's also important for you to have a variety of friends. And what I mean is, if you are in a relationship like you are married, it's good to have married friends. If you are a mother, it's good to have mother friends or parent friends. If you are just friends that you have from childhood, from college, it's also good. It's always good to have different types of friendships because that's what's going to help you to not shrink yourself. That's going to help you to value having your own quality time to not lose yourself. Because I honestly believe a lot of women, when they get in relationships, they lose themselves. A lot of women, when they get married, they lose themselves. A lot of women, especially when they become mothers, they lose themselves. And I do not want that to be you. I want you to be able to still love being a mother, still love being a parent, still love being married, still love being with your partner, but love yourself as well. That's why I preach the importance of self-love, because it is highly important. Be selfish in a way that you're still prioritizing your self-love, but still valuing your relationship. And an example could be, let's say you like to do a specific hobby. It could be tennis, it could be this, it could be that. And your partner is doing a little basketball tournament, which is his hobby, like with the guys, or soccer, football, whatever. He just like a plaything. And you have a tennis match the same time as his tournament, but he wants you to come. You may have to be selfish and say, hey, babe, I love you. I'm so proud of you guys reaching the tournament, but I have a tennis match for this specific day, and it's something that means a lot to me. That's self-love. Your boyfriend has to accept and understand that you are doing something as well, and he can't have you drop everything for him. That is another thing. You have to make sure that when you are with a partner, they don't expect you to always drop everything for them, and you always put them at a highest pedestal. Because that's a problem. That generally shows how somebody's going to treat you. And it shows that you are shrinking yourself in your relationship by putting everybody's needs above yours. And that's what we're not going to do. We are going to create boundaries. We are going to find peace. And we are going to prioritize our self-love. That's why this last discussion is very important. What lessons have you learned about self-love versus romantic love? People treat you based on how they see you treat yourself. And that's the number one rule. When people see that you respect yourself, you don't tolerate BS, and you value and love yourself, they know that when they come and step to you, they have to step to you the same exact way. Because one thing about me, when I first met my boyfriend, I told him straight up what I am not accepting, and I set that tone in the relationship. So if he decided that he wanted to continue on the relationship, he knew exactly what he was getting himself into. And it goes for people that are insecure, that let other people play with their emotions. That person automatically sees what they can and cannot play with. And one thing about me, I may have been dumb when I was younger, but I'm smart as hell now as an adult. And one thing I'm not going to let somebody do is disrespect me and think they could play with me. Because one time you do that, I'm not doing that again. When you are an insecure person and you are dating, and this is coming from a woman, men see that. So when I was younger and I was being stupid and hee hee ha ha ha, of course some men are going to see that. And they're going to take advantage of that. And they're going to push your buttons to see what they can and cannot deal with. I was dating this one guy for almost a year. And I said to him, we've been dating for almost a year and you have not asked me to be your girlfriend. He flat out told me that he feel like it does not need to be rushed. That was strike number one. Because the previous person that I was in an on and off 3-year relationship with, he asked me to be his girlfriend within like 3 to 4 months in. So I don't want to hear that. Skip. Next, this guy that I was dating, right? He knew that I was a huge Beyonce fan. And we would have our jokes here and there about between Beyonce and how I think Beyonce. He didn't think Beyonce was superb. He just thought she was mediocre. And that's respectful. Everybody has their own opinions. I'm not going to discredit somebody's opinion. That's what they think. That's what they think. The same way how I feel like Beyonce is like the best. Hey, it is what it is. And I realized that one time we were out and he kept pushing my buttons and he flat out said, yeah, Alicia Keys is better than Beyonce. And he just kept egging it on, egging it on, egging it on. And I'm just like, okay, now you're pushing my boundaries. Now you're pushing buttons because right now you're doing too much. You're doing way too much than you need to do at all. Like you are really egging it. And I was getting very irritated, and he could see that I was getting very irritated that he kept doing it until I got quiet. And know about me, two things could go away. When I get very irritated, number one, I'm going to get quiet because now I have to refrain myself, especially when I'm out in public, because one thing I do not want to be looked at is the angry black woman. Number two, I am going to voice my opinion, but I'm going to get disrespectful because that's New York and Jamaican in me. And he was Jamaican. So this was going to go two ways. Because trust me, I may have Jamaican roots, but I'm a New Yorker at heart. And one thing about us New Yorkers, we know how to chase people. And because of that, I ended the situation, whatever ship, dating, whatever that is. I ended it in a text message. Because if you knew how I felt about Beyonce, and we were joking before, but you start to get very serious and get slightly disrespectful, that's how I knew you did not respect my boundaries and you were pushing my buttons to see what I can and cannot get away with. And that's why, in my head, I said, okay, I text sleep and mark death, knowing that what I can and cannot deal with. You have to let your partner know from the beginning when you guys are dating what you will accept and what you will not accept. Because a lot of times people like to push your buttons. And when they see that you are insecure, they push because they say, oh my God, she's not going to feel any type of way. She's not going to do nothing. She's not going to leave me. She's going to be here. That's why it's crazy to me when I see a lot of women are in relationship with men and the men is just cheating and they just cheat. And then she's like, yeah, but he's always home with me. That's nothing to be proud of because he's disrespecting you. This is why self-love, it goes back to what I say. Self-love is very important. When somebody sees how much you value yourself, they know how to treat you. When they see that you don't value yourself, they treat you as such. When they see that you do value yourself, they treat you as such. That's why it's very important for you to always be secure. That's why I always feel like you have to do the work before you get in a relationship. And a lot of people get into relationships and they don't do the work. They're very insecure and they go into a relationship with that insecurity, thinking that's going to change once they have a partner, and it's not going to change. It only got worse. Because the worst thing you want to do is be insecure in a relationship and constantly accuse your partner of certain things where you are not secure within yourselves. It's very important. And one thing my mother always told me is that anybody that disrespects you, don't ever let them disrespect you twice. And my mother always told me, when it comes to security in a relationship, and if you are worried about your partner doing X, Y, and Z, cheating on you this way, this and that, my mother always told me that you could always leave and there'll be a next guy. She always told me that there'll be another person out there for you that will do it. If he won't do it, somebody else will do it. And my mother always told me, and I always live by that. That's why people are probably wondering, oh my God, that was so petty for you to stop talking to that guy about that whole Beyonce concert. No, because number one, he knew he was disrespecting me. He knew I told him that I didn't like him to keep egging it on about Beyonce, but he still chose to do it. Number two, my previous ex that I was dating on and off for 3 years, he kept doing some slick stuff. And people probably say, oh my God, well, you guys are young. Why are you breaking? No, because number one, he had no ambition. Number two, he had no ambition. And number three, he had no ambition. Why am I going to be with somebody and put myself in that relationship and then, God forbid, I end up pregnant? Now, people are going to say, oh my God, you didn't value yourself. You are the reason. You are the person. You knew what you were getting into, because that's how people love to spin the block and spin things around. They love to blame you as an individual. One thing's for certain, one thing about me, if I see somebody that does not have ambition, I'm not being with that person. That's what you call self-love. Because if I'm elevating myself and I don't see you elevate yourself in any type of way, then what's the point? What is the point? And when you are in a relationship, There's a difference between you influencing your partner and your partner not being supportive and being jealous of you. You have to also think about that as well. Because it's a difference between you influence and motivate and encourage your partner to get a higher paying job, to buy a house, to do this, to invest their money, etc., as opposed to somebody that's being jealous of you, that's sitting down and watching your money and watching what you do and making slick comments and slick remarks. Because now the way that how I am now and how I have that mindset is I don't judge anybody's relationship, because who am I to judge? But one thing my mother always told me is that if a guy pushes to see what you can and cannot accept, just keep an eye out on that, especially when he keeps pushing your buttons, when he keeps doing things, and when he does not have any motivation to do anything. He is not going to have any motivation to do anything at all. He's not going to have any push and any force in him. And don't get me wrong, there are times that we stay at a standstill. Sometimes we get too comfortable. And that's very well true, because sometimes I get comfortable. But I'm human and he's human. But the difference is, when I get comfortable, I get back on my grind again. If he's getting comfortable and you don't see any push in him and you're trying to push and help him, he's not going to do anything. And remember, people treat you based on how you treat yourself. So show yourself some respect, walk with respect, talk with respect, think with respect, speak highly of yourself, value yourself, love for yourself, cherish yourself, care for yourself, like yourself. And you're going to see how that is going to show to other people. They're going to be like, wow, that girl really loves herself. And you do. You really do. Thanks for tuning into Glow Up with Nisi. If today's episode spoke to you, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a Glow Up bestie. Want more behind the scenes and real life glow up content? Come hang with me on YouTube at Nisi's World. And if you haven't already, grab a copy of my book, Nisi's Glow Up Blueprint. It's your guide to becoming your best self. You can find it linked right here in the show notes. Until next time, keep glowing, keep growing, and never stop becoming her.